Is your practice making enough money? Today we're going to go over 5 basic sales techniques that if you implement them in your practice, you'll definitely see an increase in revenue. The next topic when it comes to sales is the idea of communication. You know, so many times people think that the way to communicate are just in the words that you use. If you use the right words, everything will happen exactly the way that you want. If your email is written perfectly, if your phone call is scripted, well, of course the person on the other side is going to understand everything and just everything will be great. But that, as anyone who's in sales or in the art of persuasion or communicates for a living will tell you, the words are a small percentage. You know, the statistics are kind of crazy or variable to try to quantify something like that. But for the purpose of argument, let's pretend about 7% of communication is through the actual words. The vast majority of communication comes from body language, and then somewhere in between comes from the tone of how you're speaking. So generally, if someone's body language and their tone will tell you more about what they're trying to say than what they're actually saying. You know, you can think about if someone's yelling because they're angry, or if they're slouched over because they're not engaged. That's where we get our cues from about what someone is trying to communicate. So the way this relates to sales is a couple-fold. If your staff are on the phone and you're trying to increase the percentage that they book appointments, or the percentage of compliance, or their ability to upsell or add on services or procedures over the phone, or even the ability to prevent cancellations and talk them into rescheduling, now what you have left is there's no body language over the phone, and so the predominant way that they communicate is going to be the tone. So the way they're speaking is more important than what they're saying. So you do have to practice enunciating, having different pitches or tonality, in the way that you deliver it. So when you write a script or when you give them the words to say, you don't just want to tell them what to say, you want to show them how to say it to have the maximum results. Now, if someone is in the practice and you're speaking with them, now body language comes in as that number one factor. So the way that you are, the way that you look, the way that you're acting when you're explaining something to someone, that's going to make a big difference. So, and doctors know this, whether consciously or subconsciously, when you're making a recommendation or diagnosis, if you're kind of slunched over and talking quietly and, well, maybe this would be a good idea, or you're kind of upright and bold and bright and said, you know what, Susie, this is your problem. These are the solutions that are going to take care of it. I highly recommend this. In my opinion, in my medical opinion, it's what you should do. When can we book this appointment? You can just feel the difference, and that's kind of the point. So, being aware of body language, tonality, in addition to what they're saying, very crucial, especially for someone who doesn't have any sales experience or someone that's not that great at communicating, interpersonal communication. These are things you actually have to practice. You have to remember to sit up straight. You have to remember the poses of your body that exude confidence. So especially if you're talking about money. Like we said, one of the things that is uncomfortable about talking about money is people are a little unsure about it. Well, if you are unsure about talking about money, that will come through in the way that you're carrying yourself, in the way that you're acting, and your patients and clients will pick up on that, and they will not be as persuaded or as likely to go along with what you're saying because they're sensing that lack of confidence or that uncertainty.